Hey, we are back. Matchmaker Matchmaker. Find me a love that lasts. That's what we're going to do today for Kami Salman. Like Aleeza Ben Shalom, it's Kami Salman.
Salman.
Kami Salman.
Sephardi last name. Just
Wait a minute. And she works for Masa. Or if you're Ashkenazi, you might say Masa. Right?
Literally. It's like we have a whole video where is it masa? People don't know what I'm talking about. People think I work for the Mossad sometimes.
Oh, yeah. No, not Mossad. Just Masa.
I mean, hey.
Yeah.
Mossad. I'm down.
Anyway, she's single. She's looking. And I heard she's an opera singer. Now, I don't normally do this. And people are going to be really mad at me because other people are like, can you set me up? Can you find me the perfect person? But I happen to know a guy from Philly. He is also an opera singer. He's actually going to be in town next week at a program that I'm running, and I think I should set you guys up on stage live.
What's his voice type?
Stop it. I don't know the answer to a question like that. I don't even know what it means.
Yeah, let's do it. It's
what does
funny.
that wait, what does that even mean? Wait, no, will you come next week?
I'm down. What's the date?
The 10th.
I'm supposed to be in Boston, but
We're going to talk
I'll
after the
talk
show.
to Masa.
Okay. So I don't even know. By the way, this is like bizarre. What's his voice type? Like as if that is a dating and relationship question that I should know the answer to.
It's not like chashuv. It's not like important. But the reason I'm asking is because, first of all, I've dated singers.
Okay.
Listen, I'm a singer.
Well, he's a chazan. Like he.
Oh, but
he's not like but he's an opera singer.
Okay.
Like I said to him, like like what do you know? And he's like Pavarotti, and I was like, oh, Pavarotti.
I love Pavarotti.
I said, oh, Pavarotti. He goes, no, Pavarotti, and I was like, oh, you're serious about this.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, can you give me an example? And he did like a whole, and I was like, whoa.
He might be a tenor then. It's giving tenor vibes.
Really? Mm-hmm. So just like I can do matchmaking, and I'm like, I get a vibe. You like know a vibe about.
I mean,
singers.
I don't know. I don't know if I would match with the chazan, but. Yalla, why not? I'm open-minded. I'll meet people.
So we need to know about you because I know nothing. So by the way, this is how you make a terrible match. You're like, you find one thing they have in common. You're like, oh my gosh, I have the perfect match for you. That is the perfectly wrong way to make a match. So I'm not going to do that to you. I got to know about you, and we don't know much about you. So like, give us a few stats. How old are you? Where do you live? What are you doing for life? And like, what are you looking for?
I'm 28. OMG, I cannot believe I'm 28. It's a little crazy. Corona should not count towards my age. I always say, like, you should minus like 3-4 years because Corona stole my youth. No, seriously.
I'm so sorry. No,
I lived in Israel.
But that was very funny.
No, but it's the truth, and it's like I always say this. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like minus 3-4 years, COVID stole my youth. Like I lived in Israel, dating totally changed in Israel, as you might know. They're like, hey, I come over, I bring a wine. I'm like, that's not a date. You're like, oh, okay, like. No, I'm joking, guys. Okay, so I'm 28. I live in New York now. I used to live in Tel Aviv. So, yeah, love Tel Aviv. But life had some unexpected turns. My mom got sick. I was like at the end of my master's degree. I was starting to be an opera singer. I was auditioning to the Israeli opera. And then the next day.
Registering to the Israeli opera?
I was auditioning. I was like in the process. I know, guys, opera is really exciting. But I
don't even think I knew that Israel had an opera. And that sounds really stupid
You should collaborate with them. They would love it.
Okay.
Right? Basically, opera is all about love and drama and death, a lot of death. But I will say, Aleeza, I was thinking this morning when I was like brushing my teeth, and I was like, opera and matchmaking have so much in common.
I mean, this I've never heard, so go for it. Bring it on.
Two of the oldest kind of art forms, if you think about it.
Yes.
Even how like in Bridgerton, it's all about finding your match, finding your love. Even in today's society, it's like, who's she dating? Who are they dating? Like in every culture, there's matchmaking, there's dating, there's there's everything. And in opera, there's so many stories. Like in Traviata, this woman is a courtesan and like a fancy prostitute. Okay, you can edit that out if you want. And
I was gonna say I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and this guy like loves her, and it's like forbidden, right? There's different societal clashes. There's religion clashes. Think about like Shakespeare, like Romeo and Juliet. So it's dating, and in literature, it's forever going together.
Dating, literature, music, all woven together under the umbrella of love.
And literally, my Spotify Wrapped went off today. Did you get yours or no?
No.
So it showed me like the trends and what I'm listening to. And it's like this month it was like all like this kind of vibes. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, did I like somebody that month? Oh, was I like in a bad mood that month? I'm joking. But like It's interesting the soundtrack to everything and also how dating is a huge part in that. I don't know. Is that too all over the place?
No, but you blew my mind with opera. Like I like to look into a lot of different things and kind of like be a mini expert in many different areas.
Yeah.
Opera is literally one area that I have not researched, studied, looked into. Like, you know, I've attended Phantom of the Opera, right?
Listen, that's a good gateway.
Yeah, but like when I say years ago, like 30 plus years ago, like when I was a kid with my parents. Other than that, I don't have true exposure to opera. And I think it's so unique. And the fact that I met somebody else, another single guy who's also into opera, I'm like, this is not a coincidence. This is interesting. And even if, now I'm going to come from a matchmaker brain for a minute. I still don't know enough about you, don't know enough about him to say this is a good match. But two people in a similar industry, you guys know about it. So even if you're not a good match for each other, you'd still be a good match to meet in order to maybe help match each other. Because you might have somebody in mind and be like, I get your brain, I get your vibe. And I think that everybody should make a match, even if you're not a matchmaker. You don't have to be a matchmaker, but everybody should make an effort to make a match. And so I still want you guys to meet. Yeah. What you do with it, whatever. We can bring you back if it ends up being a really love match, and you can both sing opera on the show.
Oh my God, it's so cringe, but I love it. It's like the cringiest. Let's do it. Like, but there's a lot of famous Jewish opera singers also. Like Richard Tucker was a major chazan, and he's like a very famous Jewish opera singer. So like, if you want to learn about opera, you hit me up. This is about dating, but you tell me, I can tell you all the tragic love stories in opera. Like, they're all rom-coms or disasters. So like my life,
it's
like my
perfect.
dating life. Yeah.
Oh, so you know how they have all those, I'm going to ruin this whole thing because this is not my area of expertise, but like online, they have all the musicals or the shows or what are the TV series or movies that have, where they're always singing? Like,
I hate those. I hate to say it. I actually love
But what are they called? What's the whole?
Like those... like the musical shows?
Okay, great. Musical shows.
I don't know what it's even called.
Whatever it is. But have they ever done like an opera musical show like that? Like a TV something? Because that would be hysterical.
Agreed. And I was always thinking like if they had a documentary series about like the lives of those in a music academy or conservatory vibes, because...
I think we're getting into like a new TV series. Hello, producers?
Netflix,
are you there?
Aleeza will tell us tips. Don't date, guys. For those that are in music school, do not date the pianist you like.
Oh, why?
First of all, it's just not, don't date in the academies. Don't date at school. Go outside.
So that's not my theory. I like that we date in similar circles. I like that.
Bonding.
Yeah, you have things in common. You have something to talk about. But if you're not going to date in those circles, you should at least help each other, and you should be supportive in order to bring like-minded people together and just... Again, when you get somebody's vibe deep to the core, you know something they're truly passionate about, you can really connect over that, and it just bridges so many gaps of connection.
I agree. I'm like half joking 90% of the time. Like, I almost dated one of my like best friends, and I never date my guy friends, but there was an exception. We were friends for years, and he also used to be an opera singer, and I was like, wow, like, it's special because he understood like the up and downs of like when you go to your voice lessons and you have a really bad lesson, just no different than somebody being an athlete and having a bad practice, or somebody being a lawyer and they're like not finding what they need to find, or the judge gave them a hard time that day. It's no different, but it's somebody understanding like what set you off and how they can be there for you.
Right.
But sometimes it's like not the thing that works, but it also does work. But that's
so you tried it, but it didn't work.
He moved to Hungary to be a therapist, and he didn't want to do long distance, which also people ask me questions to ask you.
Okay, what are the questions? Oh, you have questions. You did a poll.
I made a few polls.
Okay. Let's get into the questions. Pull out your questions.
Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, guys.
We have questions. So she polled her whole audience, and we went. Audience. Yeah. We went through everything, and she's like, "Aleeza, I'm coming with questions."
Okay.
So now you get to grill me.
Poll number 1 wasn't like a grill. It was like a joke that we were talking about how. Because I basically only really dated Israelis, like 100%. I've dated Americans, but it like hasn't really been that successful.
You like Israeli only?
It's not that. I just think that like culturally, I need to like either an Israeli American or listen. I'm not gonna like.
Are your
stereotype.
parents Israeli?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, you don't know anything about me.
Okay, like duh.
Okay, should we do like a rewind? What do you need to know about me?
Okay, I like a quick. Once over in 30 seconds or less, like what does somebody need to know if
for my friends?
Set you up?
For my friends that know me, I'm really bad at the short story long, but I'll do my best right now. Okay. So, grew up in New York. I'm Israeli American, and what else? My parents are very, very, very Israeli with things.
You have siblings?
Yeah, I have one sister, Daisy. Here's your shout out. She looks just like me, but she's tan. And she lives in...
She's the Israeli version of you.
Yeah, but I'm more like Israeli with things. Like she's very...
She looks Israeli, you act Israeli.
Yeah, I think because I also live there, like I think it does affect you.
Yeah.
Societally,
you speak Hebrew fluently?
אני לא שותפת, אבל מבינה הכל, גרתי שם מלא זמן, כאילו.
She speaks Hebrew fluent. Okay,
but I don't read and write that well. Like, I talk into my phone. I'm like,
yeah, but it's fine because
like
welcome
grandma.
to 2020. Yeah, it's fine. Doesn't matter. We got enough things going. Yeah, fine. Okay.
And what else? Let's think. I'm very traditional. Like actually, I was thinking even this morning, what does dating mean to me now, post October 7th?
Right. A lot of people are asking that question.
Yeah, and I was like really thinking because my views really changed. Like I grew up on Long Island and Halloween. Long Island, yes. I have a bit of a cold, so I'm speaking even more.
You're very conscious of it because you're an opera singer, but we don't notice anything.
I was chugging Pedialyte.
You did a great job.
Get the electrolyte so my voice would work today. Not sponsored.
I was just going to say this is not a plug for Pedialyte.
No,
but wow, it
not
does
yet.
an opera singer good.
And you're matching it, so it was kind of perfect. So what was I telling you? Oh, so I grew up here, and then I forgot what I was telling you. The blank.
Parents and Israeli, and yeah, it's fine. We got a little bit of
traditional. October 7th.
Yes.
So even like Halloween, right? Growing up in North America, like Halloween is a big part of fall culture. And like I'm in the 5 towns, okay? So it's very mixed. And even after October 7th, I said my kids that I don't have right now, obviously, will never celebrate Halloween. I'm never doing that ever again in my life because that's not in my core values anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, so certain things.
You doubled down on your Jewish values.
Yeah.
And you filtered out anything that doesn't fit in with that.
Yeah, and I'm very weird because I grew up with Chabad being a huge influence in my life, and I have a lot of friends that are modern Orthodox, but I'm secular. And like a lot of my best friends are married, have 2 kids.
But you're Israeli, so secular to Israeli, it's not one and the same.
Yes.
Secular is secular. Israeli is traditional.
I'm traditional.
Right, you're traditional.
I'm very traditional. Like, I need to have shishi every Friday. Like, there must be Shabbat dinner, right? Like, always. And like
that's called traditional, not secular.
So maybe I'm very traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
better
secular.
Label. Much better label. Yeah. You might not be Shomer Shabbat. That's okay.
But I go through phases where I also want to be sometimes because I need it. And then I'm like, ugh.
Right. That's traditional. Or what we like to call flexidox. That's what we coined on the show, Jewish Matchmaking on Netflix. We talked all about flexidox, which is this in-between box of, well, I'm not exactly Orthodox, but I'm not exactly not. And here's what I do, and here's my customs. Like I keep Shabbat on Friday nights, but on Saturday I do that. Right?
Yeah.
So somebody who is working within a framework of having a Shabbat or kosher framework, but then they're not like, I'm not Orthodox, right? I'm just doing it, my way. So I call that flexidox.
That's kind of like where I am because I'm very, like even after October 7th, like when I have kids, I want them to either, if they're not raised in Israel, go to a Jewish school. Like,
right.
And I never like thought of that before because I went to public school like after I was in yeshiva when I was younger and I went to public school and I was like totally fine with it because I was in the 5 towns. So everybody was Jewish.
Right.
There were like 3 Italian kids like Jewish. They all went to bar mitzvahs every weekend. Like everybody was Jewish. So I don't know. It changes like your values. Now when I think about dating, I'm like I'm not just thinking like, oh, like he's cute. Like I'm 28. Like I'm thinking, is this person going to be a good father, husband?
And what kind of family do you want to raise?
Yeah.
And what do your Friday nights look like? And
yeah.
what do your holidays look like? And what does your family time look like? And where are you going to send your kids to school? And are they going to celebrate things like Halloween? You're going through real questions.
And how can we grow together through being Jewish and like the values that we want for our family?
Gorgeous.
Like it's really like I'm weird because I'm also in a place where like I feel like
not weird.
When you grow up,
you.
But it's like when you grow up very Israeli American, I feel like it's a weird identity of being Jewish because like you're very connected to Israel, but then like a lot of my Jewish education, there's like gaps, but my parents know everything.
Right.
But me, I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that parsha.
Such an interesting nuance, right? In Israel, even in secular schools, they're learning about parsha and Torah and Tanakh. They go through their bagriot, which is like the high level.
Regents or New York State people. I don't know the terminology.
Yeah. They go through their high level testing that they do in high school, and Tanakh is one of the subjects. My kids went through this. And if you're in a religious school, so you'll have that plus other religious things. But if you're in a secular school, you still get Tanakh. It's not like, oh, you opt out of it. There is no opting out of it. You just opt into it.
And I don't know enough about it, which is like embarrassing me. But it's also like the partner that I have, I want maybe that like he would help me with learning more about that. Like that my kids would know that.
And together you grow. It sounds like it's a motivation for you to find a partner who isn't just Jewish. Like it doesn't happen to just be Jewish, but likes their Judaism and wants to lean in and learn more and grow more. And whatever direction that goes, you're in a flexidox / traditional category.
Yeah.
And that's your way of building a connection with somebody.
It's like a guy messaged me on Hinge and he doesn't go to any of the Shabbat dinners in New York City. And I was like, dude, you're in New York City. Like, I run a lot of events here. Like, that's what I do for fun, and like also through Masan. It's like the hottest community to meet people and be Jewish. Like, why would you not go to one Shabbat dinner? He doesn't go.
And what's the age group that you run these events for?
Honestly, I can share it with you if you want, with people 18 to like maybe 30s, 40s even.
Wow.
Different groups.
And all through Masa, or you do it through other organizations?
Some through Masa, some through just me being Kami and having partnerships. Masa is definitely a big part of it because like they support it a lot and it's through my job, and that's part of my role at Masa also. I help people with college and career advice and the right programs.
That's incredible.
And now social media stuff, so that's a little fun.
Woohoo! That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you're really doing a great job being an advocate for the Jewish people, getting the word out there, and then being a connector. You're like a matchmaker and bringing people together.
That's what people say.
Right? Not just for matchmaking, but let's call it for Masa, for programs in Israel, for learning, for dinners, for events, for parties. You're bringing community and people together to build the connections that we have.
And it's honestly what I love. It's what fuels me. Like, I'm always the person people text me like, Kami, do you know this? I'm like, yeah, 1 second. Here, I got you. Like, I meet people all the time because I was in so many different industries for so long. I used to be in the fashion industry for many years. And then whole other chapter of my life. Like, I was really bad at like chemistry and things in school. So I would literally go on the train for Fashion Week and like leave school early, go work Fashion Week. I was like, I did not like opera, by the way, as a kid.
I'm sorry. You go from I don't like opera to I am an opera singer.
No, when I was a kid, I hated it because I was always chubby. And I was like, ew, like I thought of opera singers stereotypically with like the big Wagnerian singers with the horns on their heads. And I was like, no, not sexy, not doing that. And I was like 10 and I was like not into it. And then only when I was in school for it, I like got that.
How did you choose to go to school for it if it wasn't an interest from a young age?
So it's weird. It's something I've always fought for my whole life. Like I was always in like choruses and all the plays at school and all the musicals, but I never had like my time to shine. I was never, and I'm grateful. I always believe again, like even in your book, the new book coming out, the chapter we were discussing before, like Hashem's redirection, the redirection is the redirection.
Rejection is God's protection.
And I also think there's a reason why everything happens how it has to happen. Like I truly believe this. Like Hashgacha Pratis for me is like number one, and it's like things humbled me. Like if I didn't get the part that I really wanted, or if I didn't get this to work out, there's a reason. So all my life I still fought for my voice and to sing, and I even wrote in my like first grade yearbook, singer, when like people wrote like to be like a
wow.
One kid wrote I think to sell like ice cream in an ice cream truck, and I wrote to be
it's like I want to be a singer.
I want to be a singer.
Oh, I want to be an opera singer.
I probably like Britney Spears, and I was like I want to be like Britney Spears, but I didn't write that. So, but things come how they have to happen, and basically like I really fought for it. I was a bumblebee. I was the flower that dies in the poppy scene of Wizard of Oz. I was. Like I never had
like a leading role. You weren't like a woohoo big person on stage.
Literally never.
I mean, I was the person that they gave 4 lines because I couldn't memorize anything. I'm really good. Improv, on the spot, ask me anything, do anything. Great. Give me lines to memorize, and I'm like, And only as I got older could I actually figure out what to do and how to memorize it. And I've spoken to actors and actresses, and they're like, no, you do like this and this, and they gave me all the tips and tools. So like I can do it now. But I was like you. I was like a nothing in a play.
It's like, but it's funny because those things, you learn a lot just observing, and I learn a lot by watching. But about the memorizing, it's funny because in operas, you memorize like operas in like every language. So I'm basically memorizing books in like Czech, Russian, German, French, Italian.
And do you speak those languages?
So I studied French like 9 years. So I know French, okay, and my grandma's Tunisian, and she doesn't speak any English. So I basically have
French, Hebrew, English.
English sometimes. I know, like, I understand, like, very basic Italian.
But
not, like, much, because I sing.
Dammi un beso. That means give me a kiss. That's about all I know.
Yes. And, like, because I studied French, I understand some things, but I know, like, random words in German and, like, things like, I love languages, and I love also, like,
I know if I had a superpower,
yeah,
it would be that I could speak and understand, read and write every single language. Literally, because I just want to be able to communicate with people, and I want to be able to connect heart to heart with them. And when you can say something in their language that hits their heart, words from the heart enter the heart, and it just goes in and it stays with them. And so for me, it's really frustrating. I just was in an Uber the other day here in New York City.
Oh,
right. and talking to the guy, and he's telling him life and this and that, and you know, what language, what country you're from, Dominican Republic, what language do you speak? Spanish. It's my native, you know, I understand it, English. I was like, you know, I really regret not learning Spanish better. My mother spoke it. My grandmother spoke it. We're from Saloniki in Greece.
Oh, you're Greek.
A little bit Greek, and originally from Spain.
Very cool.
So like Spanish, Greek Jews. From my mother's side, I have a little bit like olive tone.
Yeah, you have an olive
skin.
tone.
Yeah, so that's from my mother's side, and they spoke fluent Spanish.
Wow.
Fluent Spanish. And my mother would say a few things around the house, like abra la puerta, cierra la ventana, you know, different things to like just commands, open the window and shut the door and do these things. And I was like, I understood. And when I took Spanish in school, it was easy. It was just very easy. It just came to me. But I'm so regretting not digging into it. And in Israel, you meet so many people that speak so many languages.
I love it.
Right? You got Russian and you've got French. And you've got German. You've got Yiddish. You've got Hebrew. Like wherever people are from, they're just speaking the language. And there's more people there that are speaking it. And most of them know 2, 3, 4 languages. And coming from an American background and not having the Israeli background, so my Hebrew's not fluent. And the language, like, I'm like, oh, we're like so stupid. We're so uncultured, you know? Living in Israel, I'm like, wow, we're so cultured now. Like, we get to meet people from all over the world. It's incredible to see so many different people in one country all coming together.
I mean, look, also remember, when you grew up in America, we're so far from everything. Living in Israel, it's very part of Israeli culture that they go on a lot of trips.
Right.
The parents maybe go out to dinner less there, and they go on like on a nice trip. They'll go to Vienna for a few days with their kids. They'll go.
Right.
That's
right. And I tell my kids, I'm like, we're at the center of the universe.
Literally.
Do you not realize this?
Literally.
You can fly and go anywhere. It's so easy. Where do you want to go in Europe? Let's go to Prague. You know, a few hours.
But literally,
boom, hop on a flight. You're there.
That's why for me, like, I was like, wow, like I have to raise my kids in Israel probably because with my lifestyle, it'll be so much easier also.
Yeah.
But I won't make it all about opera. I won't torture with opera stuff. I'll tell you the polls if you want.
Yeah, I want to hear all about the polls. Here we go. Back to social media polls that she took.
Let's see. Guys, if we're torturing you, tell me.
No.
So,
let's go.
And the first thing I did was what's better.
Okay.
And I gave too many options, but I said Israeli Jewish guys, American Jewish guys. They both aren't serious and don't live in New York City or Tel Aviv because I wanted to see if people like,
you have a female audience, clearly.
I have 50, pretty close, like 50-something female.
Okay, so you said Israeli Jewish guys, American Jewish.
I did the next one is going to be for female.
Oh, for girls.
I was like, okay, guys, live in reverse. So what won was Israeli Jewish guys, but it wasn't that far off. 38% said Israeli Jewish guys, 29% American Jewish guys, 24% said they aren't serious, and 9% said they don't live in the cities that I was kind of referencing, New York City or Tel Aviv.
Okay.
But like a good amount of people voted. So it was very funny seeing what people said. And then for the next one, I said, now I'll do the reverse. Yalla, tell me. So I was like, what's better for dating? Israeli American girls, Jewish American girls, or Israeli girls? Israeli American girls won, 44%.
Israeli American. Well, you put that option first also.
Yeah, but I wasn't trying to plug myself or anything.
Okay, Israeli Jewish won. So you got a flavor of both countries and both cultures.
Yeah, I wanted to see because, listen, I know my Israeli girlfriends. They're tougher to date. Israeli girls.
Oh, so I love it. So now we're doing a little bit of like a psychoanalysis into this. She's like,
I'm always
so
doing
like you get the Israeli with like the spunk and the persona.
Yeah.
And then you get the American with like the sweet and the customer service and the polite.
You
and you have everything together.
Yes.
You get a little bit of both. Okay, they're putting that at the top of the list.
Yes, best of both worlds, Hannah Montana. Okay. Like I think that's like the best. I can be Hannah and I can be Miley, you know, like.
And you can just be you.
Yeah, and I can be Kami or Kami or yes.
Oh, Kami.
Stop, I'm joking. Like Masa. Okay, so and then I said dating status because I was curious to see like who's single and who's not.
Okay, what's the poll?
60% of my followers are single.
And 40% are?
49 are taken.
Okay.
And then 8% just got out of something. How does that make sense, mathematics? Oh, yes. Sorry, I read it wrong. 61% are single as a Pringle. That's what I wrote.
Okay.
And then 32% are taken. And then 8 just got out of something with broken heart. I put broken heart emoji.
Okay, so they need a dating detox, which, by the way, we have. You can totally check out my website for that, AleezaBenShalom.com. We have dating detoxes. We have soulmate clarity. We have anything that you need.
I love that.
But it sounds like you have a bunch of singles looking. Some people got themselves into something good, and some people are on the recovery end and moving into a better stage.
And someone wrote me, what if there isn't an option? What if there's something in between? And I was like, if you're in a situationship, get out of that. Like, I've been there.
I think that's really good advice.
Yeah, like,
Okay, how do you define a situationship?
I think, like, when I lived in Israel, I had a situationship, and I didn't want it to be, but
what's your definition of a situationship?
When you are only seeing each other, you're emotionally invested, literally, you don't check your apps, you're not dating anybody else, but you're not labeled as boyfriend and girlfriend, but you literally see each other a couple times a week, act like a couple.
You act like a couple, but you don't have the status as a couple, and you're not exactly sure what it is because you're not sure of their intentions.
And it's not going anywhere.
I
feel like it's like
it's just for now. It's like what I would call Mr. or Mrs. right now. It's like
yes,
okay.
Yes.
Before I dated my husband, I had a situationship.
Aleeza.
I look. I grew up secular.
I know.
Observant,
I love it. That's why I think it's great.
Well, I'm going to tell you. So he was Israeli. And I had left Israel to come back for whatever reasons. I was there for a program for a year. I came back and I was depressed. Like I was desperately missing Israel. I was crying on the inside and outside. And I just wanted to go back. But in my head and my heart, I knew it wasn't the right time for me to be there. I had some family things. I had a grandmother that wasn't well. There were like a whole bunch of things. There were reasons why I couldn't stay. And I had to come back. Or I, in my head, chose to come back. Let's be honest. And I don't know. I can't even remember where or how we met.
Not Tinder. I'm joking.
Right. Well, so, okay.
I'm joking, guys.
I am 47. And if we're going back pre-dating, this is like, I was like 22, 23.
Baby Aleeza.
Yeah. Okay.
No Tinder.
Okay. So like 25 years ago. So like, So we probably met at some, I don't know, Jewish something or through a friend or like, oh, whatever. And he was Israeli. And it's like
Israeli men.
Like it's like this. Like, what should we do for dinner? Let's go buy food. We'll make Israeli salad. And I'm like, yes.
Yes.
I miss Israel, right? I just want to be there. I just want to slice it. I don't even care if it comes in the form of salad. It doesn't matter.
Israeli men.
And that was it. And it wasn't like I wasn't particularly seeing anybody. I don't know if he was or wasn't. We didn't really discuss those kinds of things. And we really only dated for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months-ish. And I knew, and my mom's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, it's just like Mr. Right Now. I don't know. I'm like desperate for a piece of Israel. And this is as close as I can get to it. He speaks Hebrew. We make Israeli salad. And like my soul isn't crying as much. And then I went on a retreat. And when I went on that retreat, I don't know. He had something of mine. I had like picked it up. And at that moment I was like, oh, we're done. And I went on this retreat and I came back. I never called him again and he never called me again.
Wow.
It was weird. Nobody had any bad feelings.
Wow.
There was nothing negative.
That's impressive.
Nothing of nothing. It literally just disappeared. And I was like, oh, that's like a situationship. Like there's only so much of an investment, but neither party's really invested. And then when everything kind of dissipates and disappears, nobody's even like brokenhearted, because a situationship to me,
mine was a little harder than that.
Yeah,
but I get
it's not like a true investment. It could be on one side. It could be like you're investing in a situationship because you're hoping it's going to get to a relationship. But to me, a situationship is like it's the right person for now, but it's not the right person.
Okay.
And sometimes things just fizzle, and that just kind of like completely disappeared. And I was like, that's bizarre. And I never saw him, heard him, nothing of him again. I don't even know that I remember his name. Like it was done. It was bizarre.
Wow.
So that to me, that's how I would describe a situationship. I think in a situationship, a lot of people, you have one side, not both. One side that's like, but I want more. So I'm willing to take what I can get for now, but my heart and my soul are invested for more. And I'm hoping that this will transfer from something that's not super serious and not super with intention, but that it could become that because, hey, where we plant seeds and put our time and put our efforts, something could grow from this. And it's true. It's not a bad theory. Like as a person who gives dating and relationship advice, if you're like, but Aleeza, I like him, but this is all he can handle for now. I would say you could give that a shot, but there's only so long, and I would say, somewhere between 6 weeks to 3 months, and 3 months gets to be long when you're like wanting to invest, but even like 6 weeks, like if it's not for you, move on. And if your heart's getting in it, it's not going to be healthy.
There's so much I have to say, and I'm trying to remember like the order in which I wanted to express, because I think it's so fascinating what you just said. And I think that the more you date, and I've dated a good amount, the more you date, the more you realize also this person that you thought textbook definition would have been great for you isn't. And like that situationship that I had in Israel was much longer than 2 months.
Right.
But I think I always hope that like I think when you love someone, you overlook things. And I think that, not you, I'm saying me, but I mean in the sense that like, oh, like they'll get it together with this or that. But then when you get older, you're like, okay, like, but what does our future really look like? And you can really like, it's like, I can really love this type of food, but it's not going to be good for me if I have it all the time, right?
Right.
Like it's in moderation, certain, just like people, certain friends, certain energies. And I think like with dating, like even every month, every week, my palate gets more refined, and I'm like, no, but then it also affects me because I'm like in New York, it's ironically harder.
Thank you. Wait, I'm sorry, but thank you.
It's so hard.
It seems like it's easier because there's so many options and so many people, and really it's so much harder. Why?
Wow. And for me, it's also weird because I'm very out there. Like, not out there in a weird way. I'm saying, like, I know everybody in New York. Like, not everybody.
You're social, you're integrated, and you're a party maker. So you know you're...
Yeah, and I'm in a lot of different social groups, and, like, guys will talk to me, and they'll DM me, and, like, I have, like, even a weird scenario, and if he sees this, I don't really care. But basically, there was a guy I liked last year, and he knows he's for sure going to roll his eyes. I liked him a year ago, okay? I met him at an event. I shot my shot. He wasn't into it, so I left it alone. But then I ran into him a few months later at like a chill lounge. I was with the friends, and we were talking. We vibed more, and I was like surprised that we vibed. So I said, "F it, I'll DM him." Like I followed him.
Okay, so you made a first effort.
But it was months before. It was like months before.
Okay, by the way, that's the correct thing. Make an effort. If there's no response, months later, if you see an opportunity, make an effort. Good. I like this so far.
And I dated people in between. It wasn't like I was like pining for him or something. We just bumped into each other spontaneously, and I was like, oh, okay. And then we were like talking, but it never went anywhere. So I left it alone. I understood it's fine. Then out of nowhere, like 2-3 months ago, I was having an event, and everybody was calling me, and I had to order ice for the event. So I get a number from an area code that I don't know. So I pick up thinking it's the ice company. I'm like, hello? And they're like, it's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who? And he thought I was like trying to be cool.
It was him.
And I was like, how did you get my number? And I was like, hello? He's like, you know who I am. And he has very specific features that I know it's him because like, it's obvious. Like,
it clicked after a minute.
Yeah, I was like,
after a minute.
Oh, hey. And then he proceeds to talk to me for 2 hours, ask me about my dating life, what's going on with me, what am I looking for?
And you're answering everything.
Yeah, and we're like vibing completely. Comes to the event, comes early to help me. Even picks up gum for me on the way because I didn't have time to eat and I wanted like a piece of gum. Okay, stays the whole event. Texts me to see if I got home okay. Writes me in the morning to see how my morning was. Calls me while he's at work. Proceeds to call me almost every other day or every day to chat. And I start to call back and we're like vibing. And I'm like, is this happening? Because before I met him, I was away somewhere and I didn't expect to meet anybody. This is very recent, guys, okay? I didn't expect to meet anybody. I didn't even dress cute. I was at a Shabbat lunch. Separate story from guy number one. And I'll explain why I was like, whoa. No, but I'll explain like why I was like, oh my God, like maybe this is actually going to be something. It's fine. It's not. But, spoiler alert. But a few weeks before that, I was at a Shabbat and I'm sitting at the Shabbat and this guy's like nonstop talking to me and I'm like, what's his deal? Like I thought he was younger than me. So I was like, And then I realized he's my age, grew up on Long Island, moved to Boca, like we were vibing completely. Then later in the night, like found my number in a WhatsApp group that we had in common and like asked me out and we went on a few dates and we really vibed, but didn't want to do long distance. So I was like, why did you even like waste my time for a weekend that I was somewhere if you didn't also want to take me seriously? Like, and we both were being pretty serious. It was like so out of nowhere.
No.
So I said, pause, whatever, I'm over it. And then out of nowhere, this guy calls me and I was like, Hashem, give me a sign that like, there's a reason why me and this guy didn't work out. And then this guy calls and then proceeds to call me every day. And then eventually he's like, oh, I thought we were just friends. And I'm like, I'm 28 years old. I'm a woman. I'm not like, you knew I liked you. Like, I'm not going.
Well, not even that you liked him, but that he like
asked me questions,
ditched you and checked out. And then he like checked back in. So people do this when they are in between something, when they're bored, when they're feeling low, when they need a distraction from work, family, whatever,
so
other
hurtful
stressors. It's not on purpose, right? So like he's not doing this on purpose. It's usually not like a conscious thing that they're doing. And on his part, he's probably like, yeah, well, I told her I wasn't interested. So like, cool, we're just friends. But it didn't sound to me like you like ended as friends. It just sounded like it ended because it ended.
Well, we had a few weird ways that we
kept in touch here.
Well, we would go to events together, and then eventually, like he didn't mention girls to me the whole time we were talking.
Right.
Then randomly one day he goes, "What are you doing tonight?" And I thought he was finally gonna ask me out. And I was like, why? What are you doing? But I had a voice lesson, so I knew I couldn't go on whatever date he wasn't asking me on anyway. And then it turns out that he asks me about this girl. He's like, oh, this girl from a few months ago hit me up. Should I go out with her? And I was like, my heart sank. I was like, I'm like, dude, like I have a lot of guy friends, okay? Like I don't really date my guy friends. Like I told you, there was one exception.
Right.
Like I'm not stupid also. I'm 28. I know when like it's a friendship vibe.
So sometimes it is confusing. And I think
it's confusing.
Right. I think that's a great point.
And I'm like, you can't really have I have guy
so
friends.
wait. I'm going to just tell you because I'm pulling out my book.
Yalla, tell me.
And then we're going to wrap up here. But you definitely need to read the chapter on red flags, okay?
Literally.
Do not ignore red flags.
Literally.
And something like this would, constitute a red flag.
100%.
And, rejection is God's protection. That
Agreed.
This is divinely just the way it's supposed to be. If this isn't your human, there is another great human
totally.
that's out there for
I
you.
agree.
And like, we'll figure this out.
I'm not worried.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Tell people if somebody's listening and they're like, I like her, I want to go out with her, or I know somebody and I'd like to know more about her because I might want to set her up. Where can they hit you up? How can they find you?
Kami Soprano on Instagram. Hopefully I gave enough information about myself. I don't know if I sold myself on the best way.
We got a vibe.
We got a vibe. Guys, I'm not that cuckoo about guys, though. That was just like an example.
We needed stories. Otherwise, it's not interesting.
There's better ones. But super quick also, you mentioned something that stood out to me and I wanted to tell you. How you mentioned like when you were in a hard time and you weren't in a place for dating and like with your grandma being sick and things. Like I also went through like loss. Like I lost my dad a few years ago. And I will say that like those things I think also change
who you are. And
they change also your like I think that's why I'm also more sensitive and more passionate and more like caring, not like in a weird way. It's more because I just understand people differently.
You've been through something that
and
other people maybe haven't been through.
Yeah, and I think it also shapes like your like just completely who you are. I don't know how to phrase it any better, but but you get it. So
Kami, thank you.
Oh my
gosh.
Thank
you for coming on.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for listening. This is the Matchmaker Matchmaker podcast, where we help you to find a love that lasts. I would love it and be honored if you would follow us, Aleeza Ben Shalom, anywhere on all your social medias, Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook, wherever you are. That's where I am too. And I would be honored if you would grab a copy of my book, Matchmaker Matchmaker, Find Me a Love That Lasts. If it's for you because you're looking for somebody or because you want to help somebody and because you want to make a match, please grab a copy. Give it to a friend. It could be a gift. And I hope that you have a beautiful day. Many blessings to you and that you are successful in all that you do.